Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The New World. Thank you for joining us. And today, we revisit and talk about the team out in Minnesota, and that is the Timberwolves. And after the trade with the New York Knicks sending Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle, the Timberwolves have not been looking like their past selves. They are now sitting at 14-14 for the season, and they've been struggling ever since. We've seen multiple interviews with the superstar Anthony Edwards constantly talking about the Timberwolves not being together as a team. So there's a lingering problem within the locker room, and it's time for the pod to talk about it. But before we hop into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 10K subs. Turn on those notifications and stay tuned for more content, and comment what you think the problem is with the Timberwolves, and was that trade with New York good at all? Now fellas, with that being said, after watching the Timberwolves throughout the season, what are your thoughts on the team's play and Ant-Man's comments on their problems?
Yeah, I think just to give Anthony Edwards credit and be fair, I will go ahead and read what he said. I know for a fact that coming off of that game, these comments that we were talking about specifically are coming off that game against the New York Knicks, where they got their asses handed to them. And we know that was a very emotional game. There's really kind of a burgeoning, budding rivalry between those two teams, because we know we had that trade acquisition between Karl Anthony Towns and Julius Randle. And Anthony Edwards, he expressed a lot of frustration with that team's performance because they lost 133-107. So big L, nice mean L. And after the game, he did not mince words with the team's offensive issues. He said, "We don't have shit on offense. We don't have an identity. We know I'm going to shoot a bunch of shots. We know Julius Randle is going to shoot a bunch of shots, and that's all we know." Respectfully, Anthony Edwards, I'm not trying to hear that shit at all, sir. You got to be better. Now, I know that somebody I talked to him before, so I know he's going to kind of not excuse your play or what you have done, but there are reasons for why the Timberwolves have not been what they were last year. I think a lot of that comes to the fact, Jay and Buffy, that they've lost talent. They don't really have a point guard that they can depend on that can help them. Mike Conley is really done. It's about time for them to go younger, which is why we thought as a group, as a collective, that was the reason for drafting Rob Schiffman Dillingham, but they still have not really been utilizing his prowess, utilizing his talent. I don't know what they're going to do in that regard, but I think that management has to step up and figure out what's the future going to be for this team. That Randle deal was a dud. If we just look at his stats, he's averaging 20 points on the season, 6.5 rebounds, 4 assists. It's okay. The last 10 games are not that great. The last 10 games, this team has really been spiraling, and a lot of that is just the fact that they just don't have the talent. But let's fixate and lock in on Anthony Edwards. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Christmas Day, and we know that there are going to be a lot of primetime games that are going to happen within the NBA scope. I saw something that was very interesting graphic from NBA Central on X. And it was the top 10 most viewed NBA players of the 2024-25 season. I'm going to go through that list real quick, and you guys let me know if there's something very wrong about this picture. Number 1, LeBron James. Number 2, Ja Morant. Number 3, Victor Wembanyama. Number 4, Stephen Curry. Number 5, LaMelo Ball. Number 6, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 7, Klay Thompson. Number 8, Nikola Jokic. Number 9, Jason Tatum. Number 10, Anthony Davis. Is there something wrong about that picture to you guys? Where is the quote-unquote face of the league, sir? Why is he not in that top 10? So part of it is the fact that, from a promotional standpoint, the league, put the man on television. The other half is that everybody's been hyping this guy Anthony Edwards, and I'm really getting sick and tired of it. I'm just looking at some of these stats and just some of his comments and his performances from what I've seen. Past 10 games, he's averaging 20.3 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 4.4 assists. That's not face of the league numbers. And I'm looking at some of these terrible efficiency performances. Like, this guy's not efficient at all. And everybody wanted to harp on the fact that, oh man, but Mal, he's shooting a threesome. I don't give a damn about that. It's a very big problem, in my opinion, the fact that we want to crown people so damn early. This guy won his first playoff series last season. His first playoff series. And now we want to give this guy the keys to the car? For what? For what? When I'm seeing and when I'm looking at this season and previous seasons, we need to, if we're going to look at an American-born player that's the face of the league, I would much rather put my trust and faith in Ja Morant. Now, I know he does have things off the court that, in my opinion, he has been working on and the maturity has grown. I do want to see more consistency. I'm more of a show me type of person than just tell me. So I like to see if he continues to not have any roadblocks throughout the course of the season. But Ja's team is winning, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. The marketability is there. The flair is there. The brother don't even need to dunk, and he's still getting people to watch him. When I look at that and I compare him to Anthony Edwards, it's not really a conversation in my opinion. And yes, Anthony Edwards needs help, point guard. I get you, I feel you. But can you at least pull a LaMelo Ball and give me some stats? Like, can I get some 30 point per games? Like, we have not yet to see Anthony Edwards take that step in terms of just gaudy stats. We haven't seen it. He can give me 25. That's cool. That's cool, I guess. But if you're going to be the face and you're not going to win, can you at least put up some crazy numbers? We're not even getting that. So what is the excuse for this man this time? He's 23 years old. You're 22, 23 years old. This is the time where you should be peaking from a statistical output standpoint. Look at Jordan. Look at Kobe. Look at Bron. Like, all of these guys in the early 20s, that's when they arrived. They may not have won the championships yet, but they were there from a statistical standpoint. If we are going to say that this guy is the face of the league, can we please increase the expectations? I'm tired of giving niggas passes. I'm really, really sick of it, because as soon as we continue to give guys passes, that gives them the inability to not play better, because we're not shining a light on Anthony Edwards. Some of it has to do with him being in Minnesota. I get that, but you got to get it done. You have to step up in your play. Think about how far we're lowering the bar at this point, fellas. I'm not even telling you to get to the Western Conference Finals. I'm not even saying that. Can you at least average 28, average 30? Give me some stat. Give me something. He's giving me nothing at all. I haven't heard nothing about Anthony Edwards. The only reason why we're bringing it up is because of your comments off the floor, and that's where we start to have a problem. When I'm hearing more of you off the court than I am on your performance on the basketball court. And making all these comments, you're talking about the refs. No. Talk about yourself, sir. And what I didn't bring up was when he's talking about the offense, what are you doing? You're throwing a shot at your head coach. These guys, they are so emboldened and entitled. It's really disgusting. And I almost feel like at this point, Adam Silver, I know what you're trying to do, brother. You're trying to market a face of the league to be in America. It's not going to work. These guys are not good enough, and they don't have the mental acuity and the mental toughness to be that guy. Anthony Edwards is living a facade, ladies and gentlemen. He is not that guy. And I know my brother Jay is going to probably harp more onto the Julius Randle aspect of it, which is a crazier issue. And they dropped the ball on that deal. I'm mainly going to blame the organization for that, because Cat, he's doing crazy work in New York City. So they lost on that deal. He's terrible. But who thought that was going to work? But anywho, that's all I gotta say right now, man. I just want to say in the future, I may be circling back on this conversation, but in the future, if we're gonna throw that title of face of the league, a potential face of the league, because people were saying it, and you guys go back and watch that Anthony Edwards video where I stated this. Last year, in the regular season, in the middle of the postseason, niggas were saying that he's the face of the league right now. So if he's gonna be that guy, we gotta heighten up the expectations, because for you to be averaging 25 points a game, shooting 44% from the field, you're only 23 years old. In the last 10 games, you're averaging 20 points. Like, what? He has to be better. And at this point in time, let's move on to somebody else in terms of a talking point. Like, I would like to make more videos about the Memphis Grizzlies and about Ja Morant. It is the hometown team. And I don't like the fact that niggas are not acknowledging that. Come on, man. Just because we're in small markets doesn't mean we're not great. So Anthony Edwards, brother, step up your own individual performance. Let's take baby steps at this point. Fuck a championship. You're not winning a championship right now. So improve your individual play, because before you can sit at the table with the big dogs, he has to grow and improve as a player.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think the crux of this issue has much to do with Anthony Edwards, as has to do with most of the entire organization. When they took up this deal on taking Rudy Gobert, I believe 2 years ago, they should have known that it was going to lead them in a situation with current CBA rules that they were going to have to be in a win-now state, especially with the contracts that he had and Cat had. So it was basically going to be one or the either. And what I'm seeing this year is a decline in what they kind of been graded last season, which last season they were the top 3 seed, and they were the first seed for a majority of the season. But their strength was their defense. And Rudy Gobert, he's kind of had a down season. Many people have said he's kind of fallen off. And, just the rotations that they're playing him with, we already know Rudy Gobert isn't really a serviceable offensive player. He's not really that guy. There's a lot of clips of him missing pretty easy layups at the cup, like he looks like Clint Capella. But it's just been a downgrade from every situation. And I know that, trading Cat wasn't really the problem. but it's kind of who they got Cat for. And it's like Julius Randle, we are like we already knew, Knicks were done with him like last season, but we already knew he's kind of an empty calories type of player. He gives you a lot of production, but it doesn't really mean much and is not efficient in any style of play. And, that just tacks on to the majority of this problem. I had an issue with them last season because I thought with the decline of Mike Conley, how would that affect the playmaking aspect? Because you're basically running a two big lineup with Cat, Rudy Gobert, and then 6 man of the year off the bench. So you're basically running a two big lineup. How is that going to affect the spacing? Because we know Anthony Edwards, for one thing we've already known about Anthony Edwards is he's not really an efficient player. His true shooting percentage is right at league average. So he's not giving you anything above league average. He's been exceptional shooting the 3-point line, but his regular efficiency isn't really that good. So he hasn't really taken a big step, which I didn't expect him to take a big step this year. But when you don't have a point guard and they're basically just rolling out with Dante DiVincenzo as their starting point guard, the offense is going to look clunky. And the offense looked clunky last year, but they got it done because their defense was good. When you basically replace Karl Anthony Town with Julius Randle, there's been a lot of reports that he doesn't care about like stuff like defense. Like when you watch Julius Randle play, he doesn't really give a fuck about defense. So when you replace him with a type of guy like that, coming off a year where you're the number one defense in the league, you shut down the MVP, you shut down the Phoenix Suns and their 3 stars, Bradley Beal, he's kind of falling off that level, but you shut down a team like that, you make it to the conference finals, and it was basically because of your defense. Like, the entire clips they had on Jamal Murray last year was like insane. People were saying it was all-time great defense, and like you don't have that this year, and we know you don't have a good offense. What are you really hanging your hat on? You hang your hat on star play, and you hang your hat on Anthony Edwards to basically carry you over the top, and that's not really conducive style of winning because we've seen he's not an efficient player. I don't really see anything that I haven't seen last year. It's just basically it's basically just a worse team. And Coach Finch with the lineups they're running, Rudy Gobert, I don't really think they know what they're doing with Gobert because he's at the state where he's declining as a player defensively, and offensively he's not good. So they really don't know where to put their minutes with him. And it just hasn't led, because Rudy Gobert, for your team to be really, really successful as a defense, they have to really bank on Rudy Gobert being the anchor of the defense, and he just has not been that. I don't really have much ideas that they could point to coming into the future, but maybe they should start gearing up for their draft pick, because they literally did get a draft pick for a point guard. So Shiftman Rob Dillingham, if he can give them some type of production, and I think he just needs to get his body in shape because he's not really NBA caliber when it comes to like strength or whatever. If Mike Conley can at least, mentor him a little bit, because they need some playmaking, because Anthony Edwards is not a point guard. Dante DiVincenzo is not a point guard. All these other guys are not point guards. Like Neil Alexander-Walker, not a point guard. So where's the creation coming from offensively? That's my thing. Anthony Edwards, he can get the ball from the wing and take as many 3-point shots as he can, and he's shooting at those from 42% clip, but that's not really a conducive style of winning. How can you get into your sets? How can you get into your flows of offense if you don't have a point guard? So that's my thing. I think Anthony Edwards, he has kind of disappointed people. I really didn't put him on the pedestal that people were putting him on like last season, because last season he gained a lot of so-called aura. I wasn't really putting him on that yet because I didn't think he was really, honestly don't think he's a top 3 shooting guard in the league. I don't think he's better than Mitchell. I don't think he's better than Jaylen Brown. D-Book, I don't know. D-Book's kind of declining a little bit. Well, I don't know if he's declining or he's just playing a role player role. Because after the Olympics, he's kind of just been, like, Devin Booker thinks he's a role player, which is like the weirdest shit ever. But yeah, that and SGA is a 2 guard to me. Like people call him a 1. He's really a 2 guard. So I don't think he's really in that class of those players. Like, you look at his numbers, like 25, 5, and 5. It's pretty cool, but it's not great. It's not like, top 5 MVP vote, and it's not like JT, which many people were telling me he was the face above JT. Yeah, I'm not really seeing it, man. It looks like this is going to be a very, very disappointing year for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they just need to get it together, bro. Like, they just need to get it together, or they just need to rebuild with the CBA rules that they was coming into by getting that Rudy Gobert deal, which the Rudy Gobert deal is like one of the worst deals ever. Just looking at the package, like the entire package, like I'm sure if they looked at that again, they wouldn't have pulled the plug on that. But this this is just a bad point in the franchise, because even if they were good, I don't think I would take them over the top contenders in the West anyway.
Buffy, I think that we're in agreement, honestly, with everything that you said. I agree from a team standpoint. I think my biggest thing, you kind of wrapped it up when you said it at the end, is the fact that people have anointed this guy early, whereas three of us, we didn't think that he was on that level yet. So I guess I'm mainly pointing a lot of my vitriol towards those people that wanted to anoint him and automatically put him up over those guys, those shooting guards that we named over the Tatums. I guess that's where my perspective of my viewpoint, where I'm coming from, is that if you guys are telling me that this guy is the guy, I haven't seen any inclination that he is that guy. I've just kind of seen the same. I'm not gonna go off the limb and say he's taking a step back, but you can't make the argument that he has taken a step back, especially from that postseason play, because his performance from the regular season to the postseason was different. He elevated his game to a drastic level that we didn't see. That's why I caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, man, this whole Timberwolves situation, I kind of expected it when they got Julius Randle. I did say this after that Lakers game, like that first game, even though it was like really early. I did say that this team wasn't going to do so well when you got a guy like Julius Randle, because like Caleb said, I mean, he's just there to get the ball and try and score. And we've seen that throughout the game. We've seen his body language, and we've seen he doesn't really care, not only on offense at sometimes, but defense a lot of times. Offense, when he doesn't get the ball, you know, he doesn't want to show his effort as a team player, and that's really hurting this team. And as an owner, I don't really see how you could not notice this, because I mean, we've seen this before in him in New York, and that's why New York wants to get rid of him. So for the fact that you're the owner and you don't see these type of red flags in the player, and yet you still decide to pull the plug on a more team player that you had, who wasn't even playing bad, and he helped you get where you were. And look at him now. He's balling, averaging 25 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 53% from the field, and 45% from three. And you decide to give that up for Julius Randle. He isn't helping you on the defensive side like Cat was, and he's not helping you as far as being a team player like Cat was. Like, you decide to pull the plug on a dude who helped you get to the Western Conference Finals. Like, Julius Randle hasn't gotten anywhere in his playoff career, and you decide to give that up? I really don't understand whoever the Timberwolves owner's name is. That was really a bad and poor decision. But that superstar though, Anthony Edwards, this is really a disappointing year for someone who was coming off of all this hype, called the face of the league. This is a pretty disappointing year, even though his stats don't look bad. You know, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. But that shooting 44% from the field, and he's shooting 41% from three. I mean, it's not really getting him anywhere, because this team isn't well built, and he hasn't been putting up, you know, good enough stats to win games. You know, over these past games, over the recent games, 16 points, 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 7 from three, 19 points, 6 of 20 from the field, 4 of 11 from three, 17 points, 7 of 16 from the field, 3 of 7 from three. He's putting up these inefficient stats, and it's up and down, and he's always taking about 12 threes a game, which I don't really understand how someone who dominates in the paint and the mid-range, who has a good mid-range, decided out of nowhere just to, you know, add a whole bunch of more threes to his game. Not only was getting Julius Randle a bad decision, but you also bring in Dante DiVincenzo, who, he's not a bad player. He's a great role player, but he doesn't fit this team at all, because you have two ball dominant guys, you have a decline in point guard, and you have a big who is just, I mean, he's a liability. He's really a liability on the entire court, because I mean, he's declining in defense. He can't do a damn thing on offense. He doesn't really fit, he's not fitting his team, and that's why Dante DiVincenzo's stats aren't looking as good as they were in New York. The team just doesn't want to decide to, you know, develop their point guard and Rob Dillingham, who you had that high draft pick on, which I still don't understand, you know, what's going on with that, because he looked good in the summer league, and for the little bit amount of minutes that he's gotten in the regular season, he hasn't looked bad. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on there. Yeah, this team, they definitely look dysfunctional, and they're not together and in sync how they were last year. I definitely think Karl Anthony Towns being removed from that team, it definitely shows. Like, his impact is showing. And this team, they're 10th in the West right now. Like, this was a team who was battling for the 1 seed last year with the Nuggets and OKC, and now they're 14-14. They're the 10th seed. That's worse than the Warriors, the Spurs. It doesn't really look like it's uphill from there. For a lot of these guys to just go on and, you know, say, oh, Ant's the face of the league, you know, this and that, the whole MJ stuff. Dog, he hasn't dominated like MJ yet. I know he's made it to a Western Conference Finals, but But has he dominated? Has he really impacted the game like MJ yet? Or no, I haven't seen it. For people to just brush off, Jason Tatum, who's out there hooping in the East. He's hooping. He won a championship. And, folks still don't want to, give him his credit and say he's the face of the league because, Jaylen Brown's the best player on the team. That's why he won the Eastern Conference MVP and, Finals MVP and this and that. And all these things, and Jason Tatum, he's not impacting the team and stuff. Like, are we gonna put some respect on Jason Tatum's name? Like, he's out here doing better than Anthony Edwards. He's done a whole lot more things at the age of 27 than a lot of guys have, than LeBron James, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan. Like, he's in those type of conversations. He has a ring already. He's been a multiple time all first team NBA, and we just want to brush him off because we got a guy with way more charisma. And he talks that talk. Like, a lot of people don't like the fact that Jason Tatum's real quiet. I get it, but also, dude, you don't gotta sit there and say everything like Ant does, because right now it's not working for him. Ant is he's saying a lot, but nothing's really happening. He's saying, oh, we got to do this as a team, we got to do this and that. Once again, every night in, we're still seeing a dysfunctional team. We don't see them improving. The stock of this team is constantly going down, and they still aren't together. So that's still a big problem. And like Mal said, Ja, he's out here hooping. That's who we need to be talking about. Those two guys, since of course we know Adam Silver doesn't really care for the European guys. Once again, I still stand on it. Anthony Edwards is not a top 10 player in this league right now. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can list off 10 guys who have been playing better than him. And he's not a top 3 shooting guard. Like Caleb said, he named off those guys. They're doing better than him. This team, they're gonna have to figure something out. The organization is gonna have to, they got to get rid of Julius Randle. They got to make some decisions. First of all, I would try and get rid of Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle. I really don't know if a team's gonna want Rudy Gobert. I doubt it, but they're kind of in a bad situation, especially when they made that trade for Rudy Gobert with all those picks. I know he's a 4-time defensive player of the year, and he has those titles under his belt, but that still wasn't worth all that they gave up for him. So yeah, the Timberwolves, they're kind of in a bad situation right now, and that face of the franchise, he's gonna have to do better.
FYI, hopefully you guys recall that top 10. Klay Thompson has more views than Anthony Edwards. Remember that.